The markets are screaming higher as President Trump postponed the tariffs that he had implemented on Europe. We have some other things going on that I'm going to talk about as well, so it should be a great video today. Okay, I gotta ask honestly, is anybody else almost finding it comical how the markets are reacting to some of the news? I mean, President Trump postpones tariffs that he just implemented a few days ago, and the market shoots higher the way that it did. I'm not 100% sure if it's based off of the tariffs and the information that they're using to talk about where the markets are going, or just that it got oversold a month ago back in April and everybody's out and nobody's still selling and the markets now only have buyers pushing it higher. Big up days like today really amaze me, especially when what I think is nothing is really going on that's all that interesting. It's kind of funny to think if I'm the president, I could implement a huge tariff that I don't put into place, that I just kind of use as a threat, and then maybe a week later or less, I say that I'm going to postpone these tariffs that haven't even started yet. And the market, I think the Dow was up 600 points earlier today, and the Nasdaq and the S&P are doing real well as well. I think the videos that I was talking about prior to the April correction and then even going into it before I got nervous are probably pretty accurate that we're going to be making new highs in not that long of a time frame, and people are really going to be kicking themselves going, I knew that was a good opportunity. And my guess is it was. I have a feeling we're going to see Amazon pushing back above that $240 level. I think you'll see Google pushing above 200. I think you'll see Meta back above 700. And what really amazes me about the way that the market's moving is the biggest risk assets are the ones that I've noticed going higher. Now, I don't know which ones you guys watch. I know the ones I watch. And what's so crazy is they're taking off again. All the ones that are overpriced, overvalued, flying high all the time, constantly going up more than we expect, are what are really driving higher first. To me, that's actually the sign of a really good, healthy market, and I'd like to see it continue throughout the summer. One of the things that's really interesting to me that I've talked about a few times is the tariffs are giving the big companies an opportunity to raise their prices. Most of the tariffs have not even really been implemented yet. We had a short span where some of the boats got taxed a bit, and we're watching prices go higher, and most people are blaming the tariffs, saying, oh my God, these prices are going up because of these new tariffs that have been put on. But they haven't gone into effect. I think it creates an opportunity for the corporations to push through higher prices and see if they stick or not. Because if they don't stick, it's easy enough to lower the price or put something on sale or whatever you need to do. And in the meantime, you're getting better margins, which I think is going to equate to better profits. The other thing that I'm noticing is so long as unemployment doesn't start to spike, as long as people have jobs, whatever their budget is what their budget is. Now, what I mean by that is this. Watching a guy on the news talk about the tariffs, and he sells wedding dresses. He's got a store, I don't remember where it was. And his concern is the price of the dresses are going to go up, so people aren't going to buy dresses and they're going to have a tough time selling them. I don't think that's really accurate. I think most brides have a budget, and their budget is their budget, and they don't know what the dress cost 6 months or a year ago. They get engaged, things start moving along, they know how much they can spend on a wedding dress. So if they go into the wedding store and one dress went from $3,000 up to $4,500 because of the tariffs went into place, well, if that new bride goes in and has a $3,000 budget, the one that's 4,500 is just going to be out of her budget. And maybe the one that used to be 1,800 and now is around 3,000 is the one that's in her budget. She's going to have no idea that the prices changed and that they used to be less expensive. She's just going to show up at the store with her budget and buy what fits in it that she likes, or he or whomever. But that's what I think is going to happen more than anything else. I don't think it means that sales fall off. I don't think it means that nobody can buy these things. I think that they just adjust accordingly to the things they could buy. I think it would be the same if somebody were shopping for a car. If they go in knowing that they have X dollars per month, whatever fits in that budget is whatever they're going to be able to afford. Now, with a car, I think people will be more aware of what changed and that they can no longer afford what they think they could have. But I still think it rings true on most things. The only thing that might drive out a price range that really throw people off are necessities, food and shelter and things of those nature. And I think shelter has probably slowed down, at least here in Vegas, in terms of rents. Now, prices continue to drift higher, interest rates stay elevated. I don't think any of that's going to change. It's just my thought, as always, not financial advice. We'll talk about that later. But I don't really see the prices dropping. I don't really see the real estate easing off. But at the same time, rents have slowed and they don't seem to be going up at the pace they were before. I feel that way at the supermarket, even though it's still expensive. I don't get the sticker shock the way that I was because prices have gone up a whole lot, but more often things go on sale. Man, I couldn't believe it. I'm usually not a sucker for a sale, but I ended up buying 5 bags of potato chips yesterday when I went in, and the real reason was when I went in, they had this sale that if you buy 2 bags, you get three free. And not only that, the ones that they were doing it with were already on sale. So each bag was $3 on sale, and then you got 3 bags for free. So I got 5 bags of chips, not that I need chips by all means, for $6, which really floored me. And I've been seeing this consistently when I go to the supermarket. If you're a soda drinker, typically when it's not on sale, I think it's rather expensive. But then the next thing I know, I'll see a similar sale where it's like buy two, get three free, or whatever it is. When I think of they sell them in 12 packs, not 24 anymore, but per 12 pack, that the price seems pretty reasonable to me that if I were a soda drinker, it wouldn't bother me to buy them. Now, to be fair, I try to stay away from the chips and the soda, so I was glad at the price. Maybe not so thrilled that I bought them, but it is what it is. Um, and we had a Memorial Day barbecue, so I figured I'd serve some of them at the barbecue. It was an excuse to pick them up, is what it was. What did you guys do for Memorial Day? Anything fun? I actually made ribs, which I love to do. I got a smoker that I bought a few years ago. I actually bought it when COVID kind of started and played around with it. Anybody who likes to barbecue, if you can afford to pick yourself up a smoker, it's friggin' awesome. I mean, it's amazing how it's transformed ribs and some other things, a brisket, which it's a bit of a pain in the ass because really I cook it something like 18 or 20 hours on average. And even the ribs take 6 hours, but it's so simple and it totally transforms it from what I used to make to what I make now. So if you like to barbecue and you don't have a smoker and you can pick one up, I think it's friggin' awesome. I don't know about you guys. Same thing. If you have one, make a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you're curious about the companies that I think are still at a good value, they're really the same ones, and it's becoming a little repetitive if you hear me. But Target, I still think is well valued, and with the tariffs, I really think they're going to be able to push through higher prices and surprise people about the margins they've been having and their profits. And they've prepped everybody that things are going to get worse going forward. I could be wrong. Like I try to be really cautious with that, but I think what's going to end up happening is the stock's going to drift higher, and then the earnings are going to come out showing how well they actually did. I also think that they're going to start changing their platform online where they're going to start competing with Amazon, which is one of the things that Walmart did, where they allow other sellers to sell on the platform and just be an intermediary and do the warehousing and everything else. It's a really smart strategy that some companies have not implemented yet. But I think once Target starts doing that, as well as some others, I think that could be a real avenue to just get some margins, take a profit, and allow other people to deal with the hassle of selling it. I also think with all of their storefronts, I know at one point they were working on like a 2 hour or 3 hour delivery window. It'd be really interesting to see if they start pushing that forward again to compete on another level with with Amazon, where the deliveries and if they have the distribution centers and all the stores where they have these products in place, really all they have to do is get a car, give one of their employees like ability to make the deliveries, put them in the trucks and get them out, And I see that they really could start competing on some levels and surprise people. Right now, that is not the case. That is not what I'm implying Target is. It's not what I love about the company. I have no idea what their plans are in terms of growth and what they're going to do to try to improve things. But I think even if they don't, right now it's at a good enough level that it's a bargain. I still feel that way for Whirlpool. I think Whirlpool has a little bit more hurdles to get through, considering what their earnings were last quarter. But so long as their earnings are enough to be able to pay that dividend, right now they're giving a 9% yield. If they can actually cover the dividend, I think the stock is going to drift higher and significantly to where you're getting more like a high fives or 6% yield just because that's a fair yield on a stock. So if they're able to get the earnings back up to where they're covering that dividend that they pay, which they're not that far away, I think there's a lot of room for Whirlpool to run. It's just a boring company that who really thinks to invest in it? Like, why would anybody bother wasting their time? Which is kind of what I like about it and where it's priced. Now, I think there's a little bit more risk on a company like Whirlpool simply because they're not earning enough to pay the dividend right now. But at the last quarter, with their earnings, they did say they expect it to continue to go up, that the tariffs haven't hurt them nearly as much as they expected. And I think all of that is going to create an opportunity that they're going to make enough. They used to before. I just don't see them having these huge, massive problems that push the stock to where it's trading now. So I guess we'll see. And another one I think is really inexpensive is still Nike. I think it's got a long way to run. Well, I guess that's pretty funny. That's a pun. I didn't mean it. I swear. As soon as I heard it, Nike running. I hope you all get. Anyway, I think they have a lot of room. They've been a great company for a really long time and then got out of favor. And there was all this information about how OnCloud's going to put them out of business and Adidas, and they're all taking market share and so on and so forth. Maybe it's true. But what I find is if you have a 20, 30-year time horizon, companies like Nike tend to do just fine over those longer time frames. They have ups and downs over 3 years and 2 years and 5 years even. But over a 30-year period, generally the companies that are thought of are the best still are the best. And they figure a way to get over whatever hurdles get in front of them, whatever competition comes around. They seem to adjust accordingly. Their sales do okay. They come out with a new shoe, maybe in Nike's case, or maybe they sign on an athlete or a musician or whomever that everybody just loves and it helps to drive sales. I actually had a great idea that I don't think they think about because I think they're old like me and kind of stodgy and don't think of these things. I think the guy's name was like Brian Serhan or something, not the real estate guy. This kid who went across country, starts with a penny and he constantly trades it up to travel. And most of the money goes to charity. Like if he's really as nice as what it comes across on his channel, it's super cool. Anyway, I thought if they got somebody like him and use that to go to homeless shelters and give out free shoes, that would be such a great way of marketing that first of all you're doing a great thing. These people need shoes, and if you can go direct to them straight from Nike instead of people donating or whatever they do and not talking about it, but create a show or a channel instead of him trading up those pennies to get a pencil, to get a whatever so that he can make it across the country. Instead of that, just let them go to the homeless shelters and give out shoes to people and show your brand and what a kindness you have to be able to help support people who really need your help. I thought the goodwill would go a long way and be a really good way to do some marketing. Now, obviously, this is just my half brained crazy idea. This isn't anything like I don't think that Nike's even thinking of that. But I think there are lots of ways that they can get themselves back in the limelight, put themselves in the position again where people have a good attitude about it and they're not so negative. The funny thing is, I find people get negative when the stock price falls and it's not necessarily anything going on with the company that's any different than anything else. The other thing I like about Nike is they aren't just shoes. Like they sell apparel, they sell sweatpants and shirts and t-shirts and all sorts of things outside of just selling shoes that some of their competitors really aren't selling anything near the amount of clothing that they do. So again, I think they're a bargain price. I don't know that I think these are going to be the best outperforming stocks that you can think of. It's more that when we had the pullback, it's really hard for me to ignore some of the valuations of these companies because, in my opinion, they just got so cheap that it seems like a good opportunity. Now, this creates a good opportunity for me to say this is not financial advice, please. This is just entertainment purposes only. When you guys are making your financial decisions, you need to do your own research and potentially even reach out to a financial advisor. You shouldn't be listening to me, and I don't think you should really be listening to anybody on YouTube to get financial advice. Now, feel free to use the entertainment value to do your research and figure out what you want to do. And if somebody has some idea that fits what fits you, sure, you could take a look at it and maybe consider it for the appropriate amount. But you have to be careful because whatever I share is just coming from me. And I know that sounds so stupid, right? But meaning that it fits my investment objective. Whether that means I could take on more risk or whether I'm too risk averse or whatever it is. I'm 53 years old. I'm in the position I'm in, and you're in a different position, which is why it really has to fit you. And I know this is rambling about do your own research type of stuff, but I mean that. I mean that, like, you have to figure out what fits your financial objectives. Yes, of course, we all want to make as much as possible. But are you close to retirement or are you really young and you have a long way to go? I watch some of these guys talking about dividend stocks and have people who are 20, 21, even 18-year-old people getting into it, whatever else. And again, just my opinion, entertainment value. But man, if you're 20 years old, why you would want an old stodgy Coca-Cola type of company, unless you're just scared of risk, like I get that, but you have so much opportunity to grow, to buy something that has a real chance of growing because you have 30 or 40 years ahead of you where you're still going to be kind of young. Like as time passes and you get older, you realize A, how quickly the time goes by, and B, how young you still are, that if you're not using a lot of this stuff until retirement, to me, you want to give it as much chance to have a potential to really turn into something with some percentage of your portfolio. I also find it interesting that no matter how what sector you go in and how you try to invest, you tend to perform how the market performs. And I'm going to give you an example of this. So, we opened up a small retirement account for my wife a while back. I bought like the riskiest of riskiest things in there. I don't even remember what I had because my attitude was it was a really small account. It's a retirement account. Maybe she gets lucky, maybe not, but let's just buy the craziest crazy stuff. Now, I bought Peloton in there. I bought Robinhood. I think I bought some Spotify. I don't even remember the other ones that we bought. And what's interesting when I opened the account is like Robinhood, I think we bought for $12 a share. And when I saw earlier today, it's trading at like 66. So we've crushed it on that, but they're ones that have done terrible and have pretty much gone to zero. In the end, over the past couple of years, while the market's been up like 20% per year, she's had some that have gone up like Robinhood that are up 5 times the money, and some that have like dropped to close to zero. And in the end, she's essentially doing what the market's doing. So I found it really interesting. It's amazing to me how if you buy, at least in this example, I don't know that it always works, but even when you buy the riskiest of riskiest, that you might tend to just do what the market does anyway. Now be prepared. My videos are going to get even more spotty than they have been. Our trip is coming up. I am beyond excited. At least right now, our tentative plan is Tokyo for a week, China for 2 to 3 weeks, probably off to Thailand for 2 weeks, but that one's still up in the air, maybe somewhere else. Back to China for another 2 weeks. Now, my wife's family is from China, so we're spending a lot of time there because we're going to visit them as well as do some tourist stuff. And I got to tell you, I'm so excited to go to China. I went there years ago and I felt a little isolated because I was primarily like, I didn't find anybody who spoke English. but I haven't been back in like 20 years, basically, a little bit more. And she went, I think, just before COVID. And the description of how much it's changed and the technology, like she talks about the US like we're a third world country after visiting there, how everything is so automated. She was telling me about grocery stores where they don't even have employees. It does like a facial scan and it just uses, I think they use WeChat to pay for things. And when they go into the store, it recognizes them. You go around when you take stuff off the shelf and you put it in your cart, it automatically knows and just puts it on your bill. You can put it back on the shelf if you don't take it, but if you take it, it just automatically knows. You bag it up in your cart and off you go, and it charges you accordingly. Sounds super cool how far advanced they've gotten. So I'm really excited for China. And then we're going to spend a few days in South Korea before heading back home. Now, anybody in the chat section who made it this far in the video, A, thank you for making it this far. B, if you have suggestions of things to do that might be fun, like we may not do them, so forgive me if we don't, but I'm totally open to hearing some fun things. I'm hoping to do, there's this glass cutting thing in Japan that we might try out, and a few other things. But I'm so excited to be going. But what I was getting at is the videos might become a little bit spotty. I am going to try to post from there. I just don't know how good the ability will be. I don't know how good the internet will be. I don't know that I'll have the time because I really plan to just go and enjoy the vacation. But if I get in my routine of going for my walks or something, maybe I'll do a video. I'll show wherever I'm walking around, talk about the trip a little, but I might not. So I'll apologize in advance. And guess that's it. Anyway, do me a favor before I go. If you could hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. See, I did it backwards again. If you could hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments in the comment section. Did you buy anything these past few weeks? Is there anything you're eyeballing that you want to get into? Let me know what you guys think. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.